How hard did you push it till I black out? Yes. Numerous times, yes.
What's happening, MuniciPals? I'm Hot Dog Boy.
What's happening, MuniciPals? This is Big C and Ashton. We got a couple special guests today. We got Cainen and our buddy Aaron Munda. So they are the creators of RGC San Francisco. Really great guys. Actually, the reason that me and Ashton met. It's pretty fucking awesome. As you guys know, in some of the other or earlier pods that we had, Ashton basically hit up Cainen on his way moving to San Francisco for the first RGC meetup that they had at Glen Eagles, and paid a random stranger at the time over the internet to play this round. And he's never even met the people that he's meeting up with. He didn't even know the golf course that he was playing. It was just kind of, he just went with it, and we all became really good friends from that point on. And so with any other introduction, we have our buddies Cainen and Munda. What's happening, fellas?
What's going on? Thanks for having us. Great to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for coming on. So we've been meaning to do this pod for a while because, to be honest, the podcast wouldn't even exist if we didn't have the creation of the RGC San Francisco chapter. And to be honest, we wouldn't have the name unless we gave full credit to our boy Cainen. He came up with the name. We put out the idea through our little chat that we have on Instagram, and we asked people for some advice, and I threw out some names there, and I wanted to do something with municipal golf, and Cainen wanted to do a little bit of wordplay, came out with MuniciPals. So
yeah, it's something I feel like, if you give me a little wordplay and a direction, I think I can come back in a couple minutes with something for you. Usually,
it was the perfect name for what we were trying to create. So all credit to Cainen for that. I won't give him credit anymore for the podcast or anything else we do, but the name specifically was definitely all Cainen. And the meeting of the one Big Chris and Snowflake Ashton has all credit to Munda and our boy Cainen. So first thing I want to ask you guys, what made you guys want to create the San Francisco chapter?
I can take that. So it's funny, like Moon and I were golfing quite a bit at the time. I think it was like the fall of 2019. And it was like, it started off kind of a way to like document our golfing. Just like we were golfing like every weekend, just wanted to take pictures of it. I also ran a social club in San Francisco at the time, focused on burgers, called the Burger Bras. So it was like, I already kind of was familiar with running like a side Instagram account just for something like a passion project kind of thing, if you want to call it that even. But it just kind of started off with just us golfing a lot and, starting to Instagram about it. And then, from there it was like, well, this is like bigger than us just golfing. We can like meet other people and kind of connect with other golfers, and kind of went from there.
Yeah, Cainen always gave me a little, way too much credit for putting my name on the account, but he pretty much did everything. I call myself like director of vibes. But I also think about just how much fun we were having once it started, and like meeting all the people through it, and thinking about some of like the really weird, awkward pairings, and we can get into some of those stories. And it was just night and day after we had started the group and started playing rounds with all of you guys, and it just made golfing in the Bay Area a way better experience.
Yeah, I would say that's what I got out of it big time, especially, the creation of the RGCSF chapter was, I would say, 4 or 5 months before COVID hit. And so what I got out of it was, a community and camaraderie of like-minded guys that were, gratefully we had golf open, most of the time in the Bay Area. So it gave us all kind of a outlet through such a shitty time in the world to be able to go out and, meet new people. And we were doing it in a safe atmosphere and, safe way, and getting to experience new courses. I know a lot of us ventured out and played places that we probably never would have played any other time because, one, we couldn't get tee times. And two, I think people just had the time. People were working from home. They were laid off. They, whatever your excuse was at that time, we all had a lot more free time, and we got to, go out and experience, each other and the courses, and, really, grow as kind of like our own little tiny community, which was freaking sick during that time. I mean, I know for me, it helped me get through COVID big time.
Yeah, I think you hit on something there too, where it's like the timing of it all was kind of like a perfect storm in a way, right? Where like golf there for a second was kind of the only thing we could do, right? So, it drove a lot of people to contact us and were like, "Hey, we want to golf," and obviously we met awesome guys like yourselves doing all this, which is great.
Yeah, and I know Cainen missed out on it, but the creator of RGC, Eric Anders Lang, came out before the PGA Championship at Harding, and Munda got the opportunity. And if you guys ever have a chance, go on to was it on Scratch or was it on his own channel?
It was on his own channel. It was just the RGC channel. But yeah, to finish the story, he was doing his Break 90 video, playing at Harding Park right before the 2020 PGA Championship, and we had a really cool opportunity to play the course. It was just like an evening, twilight, really casual walking nine. We were the last people to play when it was still open to the public before they completely shut it down before the tournament. So conditions were really pristine. He just wanted to get a feel for things before the Break 90 video. It was a really, really fun afternoon. I think Cainen's story the story they told us was that they were working with like a casting agency and stuff because they're big time now. They're working with Chase. And they were like, "Oh yeah, we can grab some guys that are like going to be like golfers that'll be in the video with you." And they were like, "No, like, well, we got this." And like we had a couple conversations as part of like the official chapter dealings or whatever you want to call it prior to that. So we had been in contact, and yeah, it all worked out. Jack and Chris, who have both been on the podcast, were out there, and that was one of the early rounds that we have been able to play together, and it was really, really cool experience.
And yes, that was producer Jack got to join that round. So that's really sick. I mean, that's cool that he included, and that's the one thing is Cainen and Munda are not paid to run the RGC San Francisco chapter. It's all, on their own merit and, their own efforts to create this and kind of grow their own chapter. And it's kind of cool that somebody like EAL will allow people to kind of use his brand and name to kind of create their own entity, but still have a sort of a connection to him himself, which is, pretty sick, because a lot of people would want to try to heavily monetize that and, maybe try to take the chapter back over or, do different things. So I think that's really cool that not only does he allow every city to kind of do their own thing and create what they would like, but to also include you guys in the actual whole scheme of things. So
yeah, like Cainen at the Glen Eagles event, didn't they give you like access to the account and you like went live from it and stuff?
Yeah, that was pretty wild actually. I was kind of that Glen Eagles event where Ashton, that was when we met. That was one of our first. That was our first biggest event. We've had like little ones, like foursomes and eightsomes like that. Besides that, but they gave us the password to the RGC account, and we're like, hey, like just have fun. And I was like asking all these questions, like, should I make sure people aren't drinking and like things like that, and trying to be there like, yeah, just go have fun and just. So that was pretty cool and kind of wild that they gave us so much power to just kind of take over their main account.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And so through it all, what would you say your biggest takeaway is from running the account and creating it and all of that, what would you say you've gotten out of it the most?
I mean, 100% the people, like just meeting awesome people through it. I mean, I think the RGC like community, puts out kind of this vibe, right? Like you want to, one of the reasons, like we're talking about, we like doing it before, is we wanted to meet other golfers who were kind of like-minded like us, that were, trying to, no one say changing the game, but making it more like, less stuffy, less kind of, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but like, for instance, like I rarely wear a polo shirt when I go golfing. I wear a t-shirt. Like I want to meet people who are okay with that. Meeting less stuffy people and people who are just trying to have a good time and not having to get so mad about every single shot and just enjoying the time up there. And I think that's what I've gained from it the most. I'd say, I would probably say the same thing, is we've met some awesome people, including you guys and everyone we golf with regularly. Is just, it's such an awesome experience, just opportunity to meet all these people.
Yeah, absolutely. Just second all of that. I mean, we've met GMs of 3 Michelin star restaurants. We've met just people that completely run the spectrum, right? I mean, like even this group, former Marines, people that have like lived all over the country, and just a lot more opportunities to meet a lot of cool, like-minded people that also share, that also offer completely different perspectives, that like you're just not going to find those pairings when you're playing these Bay Area munis all the time.
And I think that's the one cool thing about the San Francisco chapter too, because the Bay Area is kind of a melting pot and brings people from all over the country. So I know, Cainen is from, Woodland. That was where he was born and raised, went to school in San Diego. And then Munda, where were you? Are you from the Bay Area originally?
Yeah, I'm from the South Bay. I'm from same area where kind of like where you grew up. Played Prune Ridge a little bit when I was growing up as well myself.
There we go. Okay. And where did you go to college?
We both went to UCSD. That's
right.
How,
how you guys know each other.
That's how we met. So yeah, and I guess like this is just kind of the story. Like the story behind it all is we were playing a lot. Cainen was a kind of high school golfer, much more accomplished than the weekend hacker that is myself. And we were like golf. Like me, for a lot of people, transformed from something we were doing on the weekends to getting we're getting really drunk and started taking it a little bit more seriously. And then from there, started playing like much nicer rounds, going through a lot of weird pairings, and it was just like, there's got to be a better way to do this. Some of the most fun times we had was when we were able to book a group of 4, but that just wasn't the norm for us. So then RGC like opened up completely new doors when it was just like, we can book foursomes, we can shoot it out to the group text, and we know that we're going to be able to fill those spots with people that we enjoy spending time with.
Yeah, and I mean, going back to like the whole, different type of people that you meet in RGC as well is, Ashton, of course, everybody knows, is from Georgia. We've got, producer Jack, that's from New Jersey, military man. We have
born in the Philippines.
We've got Marcus, that's kind of just freaking lived everywhere. I mean, he's all over the place. And I mean, the stories that guy's got, the amount of different courses that he's worked at and things like that, it's insane. I mean, we've got Mark, Brothers on Tour, who, was an Army brat growing up, and, travels all over the place and lives places more temporary than having his own spot. So, I mean, just the different types of people, different characters from all over the place that we've kind of created in that community has been pretty sick to kind of get to know everybody. And, some people have left, but we've still stayed connected, and there's still, that bond that you kind of create. Like, everybody knows I'm moving to Portland, but I'm still going to stay very connected with all the guys that I created, friendships with in the RGC chapters. So that's been really, really sick. And so going from there, favorite round you guys have played, or favorite course that you've been able to get onto or experience just because someone's invited you to go play?
Do you have an answer ready to go?
Not really, but I mean, there's just so many rounds.
So I mean, the one that's obvious where we just did the slimy thing of feigning interest in a country club was Mayakama. Out here in the Bay Area, that I think is a top 100 course. Completely ridiculous round. I think it's like $100K initiation or something like that. Like one of the few that you can buy into, but the sticker price is just so ridiculously high because it's complete Bay Area venture capital like status thing, right? Like I distinctly remember a lot of the stickers on laptops that I remember from the houses on courses as we were walking it, just from like very, very notable Bay Area venture capital firms. But we had an amazing caddy. The caddy knew exactly what was going on, right? Gave us no shit whatsoever. Kainen and I both played pretty well that round. Shot good scores for what was like a pretty difficult course that day. Had an incredible run-in with a total country club guy that asked the caddy beforehand how we were playing before interacting with us, and then only upon the caddy telling him that we were doing pretty well that day, started interacting with us, like asking us how the course went and inviting us, saying he'd sponsor us for membership and all that stuff. So experience that completely ran the gamut of awesome golf course, awesome round, but ridiculous, like really, really stereotypical country club ass experiences. So I would say that one for the stories and just for how memorable the day was.
And I love how you guys did exactly my favorite thing to do. Yeah, just hit them up, use them, and never fucking contact them again.
Yeah, I still to this day, I wonder if they knew we were swindling them. I feel like some people knew, and then some people didn't know, because they saw us through the whole thing. Like, they kept contacting me the next few months. We're like, hey, like, you guys down to join kind of thing. So it was like, I kind of thought we were, it was noticeable that we were just coming on to play for free. And, even kind of more than just playing, like they drove us out Bloody Marys and sandwiches to us on the 6th green. Like it was like tops. That place was like so sick. I mean, obviously the course was pure. We had a caddy who was super dope. He was blazing with us all day. He also was a caddy at Cal Club too, which we were kind of like itching at him a little bit, hey, like, if there's any way to ever get us on the Cal Club, let us know. That didn't work out. But to this day, I wonder if everyone just knew, or, our swindle, or if it was kind of still thought as like a business, sales plan thing.
I'm sure they get plenty of people that come out and just play and they never hear from again. So I'm almost positive I'm not the first one and you're not the first one to do those type of shit. So it is what it is. It's still, that's why we do a public podcast, because we want to showcase what you can get for a bargain, or even, the freak round of when you want to go play Pasatiempo and pay $325 and experience just an elite private course open to the public. We want to showcase that there's deals out there. And to be completely honest, Mayakama was probably a great golf course, but are any of us legitimately going to spend a down payment on a house to join a golf course? I don't know if any of us, at least, no matter how rich we get, would spend that kind of money to play fucking golf all the time.
I think on top of that, it was like $25K a year too. It was not cheap.
Yeah. And if you're going to spend $100,000 down to just join, you're not going to just join for a year and drop out. So you're looking at $300,000 to $400,000 for like 5 or 6 years of being a member there. No.
Well, I would like to jump in. First of all, this is the first time I haven't said anything in 20 minutes, which I love. I hear way too much of my voice. But two, I would like the record to show that if I won the lottery, I would absolutely put $100K down at a golf course of my choice and gladly pay $25K. So I will be that person. If I win the lottery, I will be excited to have you guys in my private club. So sorry, MuniciPals, and I would hope you do the same. There's a lot of great places out there. So that's my 2 cents on this podcast. The hyper douche just coming out of the woodwork.
The lotto, that's like you're winning like what, $100 million? Like, yeah, heck yeah.
But Christian, I'm being a stickler for language. Hey, Cainen, you're the language guy, right? He just said no amount of money would we join a private club.
True. I did say that.
That's why they call it national memberships. Flew in on the PJ to play for the weekend. Oops, my bad.
I mean, I think if I had enough money, there would be like, I would definitely join a club purely just for the interest of like using their practice facilities. Just be like, yep, I want someone to go hit 80-yard pitch shots all day. Thank you very much.
I told Chris.
See, but I'd pull a Tiger Woods, buy a big enough property, build that shit in my backyard.
That's okay. So to be clear, the rationale is you have so much money, you wouldn't join a private course, and then you would build a custom practice facility in your backyard.
Yep.
You don't
charge people to use it,
but
No.
Make it available for public use. Create your own.
All high
facility.
school kids can come and practice there.
grow the game.
Open practice facility for high school students.
No, but Cainen, the best thing ever, my dad, I might have said this on the pod before, but my dad is a social member as of recently at Atlanta Athletic Club, which is just outside of Atlanta. And the crazy thing that he found out, which honestly made him join, they have, and I've been there, I've been to other, I'm sure there's other places that are amazing. It's the most impressive practice facility I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. They actually have an area, this massive undulating green. They have little areas with balls at 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and they move it around. I mean, so it's like you go and you hit a bad 35-yard shot, you can go right after your round, practice that shot. It's insane. But the crazy thing is, if you're a social member, which is like the pool and stuff, you actually get access to the practice facility. So I think my dad paid like $5 down, and then there's like, you know, it's not cheap, but I mean, it's probably like $15,000 total over like 10 years. You get access to the practice facility, where like the golf course is like $100,000. I mean, I was like, it's cool, but you know, I'd much rather just have access to the practice facility for, you know, $10,000 and also all the other stuff, right? Yeah. The golf course is fine, but you know, to your point, he's like, I just really wanted to be able to do that for the practice facility. So. Yeah,
and like I think with all of us in this call too, like, you know, I personally enjoy playing a myriad of golf courses, like, yes, you know, popping around, checking some things out. Like, I would feel guilty if I just like, you know, unless I was just so balling in the way that you won the lottery and you don't feel so bad for playing other courses on top of your country club course if you remember one. But yeah, I mean, that's the main reason I would join one is just for the practice facilities. And, if it didn't have a good one, it didn't have good practice facilities, I wouldn't really want to join it because I would be forced to play that course all the time too.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm sorry. I jump in and then like throw shit and then talk about private golf, which is not. Hey, I don't know.
I will say, if more public courses were like Mariners,
yes,
and had practice facilities attached to them, that even if the public had to pay to rent out, like their short game area is incredible at Mariners.
Yeah,
but you pay $10 an hour.
It's fine.
More courses could build short game areas like that. I've seen ridiculous entrances to public courses with fountains and all this bullshit. When you pull into them, they could literally transform certain parts of parking lots and all this extra bullshit that they have into something that is more usable for the public and charge people for it. And then you'd probably make a larger profit. More people coming out, spending money in your food and beverage areas, and I don't know. My 2 cents. If more people thought about profiting off their short game area than just having a small green, a small chipping area for people to warm up, to go play, then I think it would be a much better option than some people that literally like your dad. I mean, you talk all the time in Atlanta, they don't have great public courses. So your only option to have a good practice facility is probably to join a private club. So
yeah, and that's all about accessibility, and that's not it. But one thing I wanted to circle back, guys, a question I had for you. So obviously, totally agree with what you said about how cool it is. The connection to EAL, how that happened. Did you guys like see RGC and get like created, and then they decided to kind of link up and air quotes like make it official, or did you basically like reach out and be like, hey, we want to start a chapter? Like, how did the origin actually happen there?
Yeah, so I think it was September of 2019. I was obviously following EA on Instagram, and I think he posted online and was like, "Yeah, it'd be cool," because he was having meetups at the time, and it'd be cool if like people just like had meetups in their city and like did their own kind of local chapter. And he like posted something about it. And I was like, that kind of like sparked it a little bit. On top of us wanting to document the golf and everything else that was going on. So I just kind of created it. Didn't reach out to him. wasn't really like official for a long time. Eventually down the road, the RGC community like made, certain chapters official and kind of, more like, like put them on their website and stuff like that. But yeah, no, we just made it, and they eventually reached out to us and was like, hey, like, love that you guys made it. We'd love to just, grab, they grabbed like a dozen first of us, like us and like the Denver guys and the Nashville guys. There's a couple other ones, the original people, and like got in a Zoom call with them one day, and they were just like, yeah, like, love that you guys did this. Like, want to kind of keep in touch with you guys. And, we'll hop on Zoom calls with them every maybe 3 or 4 months and just kind of check in, and they kind of give us some updates on stuff, and we tell them how things are going. We're like, yeah, everyone's great. And, kind of chat about kind of the meetups and things like that. But yeah, to answer your question, we just kind of made it randomly, and they reached out to us about it.
Like I said earlier, it's sick that he kind of just allowed people to take the meaning of what he created with the Random Golf Club and allowed people to kind of run with it and create their own thing, and then kind of tied it together afterwards, which is not common these days when it comes to, people creating their own businesses and things like that. They're always trying to monetize everything, and that's the one thing I will give EAL very, very big kudos on is going to be the community that he's created and the, freedom that he's allowed for every chapter to have to kind of create their own thing, which is super sick. I've really appreciated it because, again, I've made lifelong friends through this. So
and even more than just like enabling it, right? Like really, really supporting it and like reaching out to the chapters and kind of like, I don't know, they sent us big boxes of merch, right? And hats and these like starter kit things that had all those like tees and bag tags that like we should be handing out to people at meetups and stuff like that, just to show that like, yeah, this is something that's kind of sponsored and really supported by the central brand and really helping like the people that run the official chapters make it a cool experience for all the people that show up. Maybe it's their first time hanging out, and making sure people have like things to come away with so that they remember the cool times that they had. Just really, really cool brand and cool to represent it.
Yeah, I know for a fact that every meetup that I've gone out to, and I think I've done 3 of them now. No, 4. Well, I did one not ran by the RGC. I was at the Pacific Grove one when EAL did the one out at Pacific Grove. So I was at that RGC event, which I don't think any of the RGC San Francisco guys were at.
I didn't know you were at that event. That event looks pretty rad.
It was super fun. Yeah. Super good time. And that was the first experience I had with Random Golf Club. I drove out there and did that just by myself because I just heard it was going on. That's when I started looking for a local chapter, and that's when I started following you, and then Cainen reached out to me and asked me to join the group chat that we are now, all involved with, which is the main way for all of us to share tee times. And when I was working at Golf Mart, repairing all your guys' clubs and getting you guys all dialed in, I think 50% of that group I've probably fitted in new golf clubs in the time frame that I worked at Golf Mart too. So I know Cainen came in multiple times, had me fix some stuff, regrip his clubs. Munda, I did a full new iron set for you.
Definitely. Sounds about right.
Yeah. So
I think for me, you've never helped me.
No, never dialed in any hybrids or anything for you.
Now looking at 4 hybrids in my bag. Again, we're at four wedges, 4 hybrids, and 5 irons in air quotes. That's Chris's fault.
Wait, you really have 4 hybrids right now?
Yeah, I just got a ping. Chris got me a ping G25. It's 17, and I bent it down to 15 and a half. So I'm trying to hit like a 260-yard
hybrid or something.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. No. So there's that. There's the high bore, and then there's the 2 that are replacing my 4 and 5 iron. So it's a sickness. But again, the great part is I'm no longer addicted to heroin because the one person I had who was my supply is gone. So I must be clean. But it's also tough now because Liz would be like, did you buy another head cover? I'm like, well, I mean, literally, she was DMing Chris because she was like, he said you made him buy that. I was like, oh God, don't ask him that. Like that's
Well, I think I
no laying up
saved,
head cover has nothing to do with Chris.
I think I saved you for a while when I posted the picture of all my equipment today. She hit me up and she goes, "Is that all yours?"
Oh,
And I was like, "Yeah, I kind of a hoarder. I don't really let a lot of stuff go." And she goes, I was like, "Yeah, you can't really get mad at Ashton for what he owns because he probably owns a quarter of what I have." And then I sent her a picture of just my golf shoes, and she goes, "I think you have more golf shoes than I have actual shoes."
You should have said, "Thank God you're not left-handed."
That's true.
That's very true. No.
Well, speaking of that, that's why I own a high bore now because I bought it super excited, thinking that I was going to give it to Ashton as a gift, and then I didn't even realize it was right-handed. So,
but at some point, I'm going to snap this shaft. Like, not to be clear, I don't break clubs like that, but like it's going to snap because the shaft's like 12 years old, and at least I'll have a backup. But
true.
Yeah, but I know this is sort of me jumping in again, but yeah, I mean, I think that I just like I have so much love for all you guys because I know, like, you know, to be very personal, you know, I had a really rough kind of couple years, and golf for me was like a really big solace. But one thing that I think we don't talk about enough is like when we talk about accessibility, we talk about, you know, public, private, we talk about cost. Yeah, for sure to all of that. But I think one thing that like I've never vocalized, but I'm curious if y'all feel the same way, but I guess you do, is accessibility and community. And I don't mean like family kumbaya bullshit. I mean, like, I know that there has been so many times throughout my life where I wanted to go play golf, but I just would have those moments where it's like, yo, like, I really just don't want to book a single because like there's a pretty good probability that people I'm going to get there are like, I don't care. Again, we've talked about this. I don't care how good you are, but it's like, you know, you roll up to the first tee and you're like, oh my God, this is going to be a 3.5 hour, 9 holes. And these people, you know, and also it's like, you know, we're all sort of like brand guys, right? It's like, you know, no one understands my Sweden's Cove head cover. No one understands my no laying up head cover. There's things that I, you know, did you watch Strap? Did you see EAL Break 90 video? And of course the answer is like, no, you know, you don't bring it up. Right. So it's one of these really, and even like for me going back to like competing, like I didn't really like junior golf as a kid because the tournament feeling of like, it's me versus the world. I didn't really love that, very honestly. And then my high school golf team, you know, if they're listening, I'm sorry, I don't really keep in touch with any of them, but like, that was a really toxic culture. Like there was the cool kids and the not cool kids. And I was in the not cool kids. I was not very good. You know, I couldn't keep it on the planet. I could drive 300, but, you know, probably going to shoot 50. And, you know, there was a lot of like talking behind their hands. And even though I've played golf my whole life, I just struggled, you know, because it's like, man, I don't really resonate with this like hyper competitive. I'm not good enough, like this hyper competitive solo stuff. I don't feel welcome on my golf team. I try to book a tee time at 4:00, but I'm not going to get paired with people I like. And it's just been like unbelievable to meet you guys because it's like, I can just be myself, and you guys don't care if I shoot 77. You don't care if I shoot 87. You don't care. It doesn't matter. It's, you know, and, you know, I've taken money from all of you. I've lost money from all of you. And that's not even the point. Right. But I think it's just the idea.
We need to stop giving Munda strokes.
I will keep taking them.
That's a whole separate conversation. But I think that's just something that I love so much with y'all is like, you know, I need to, as the jokes are made, I need to get the tee times a little bit early and make sure I'm not running to the tee. But it's like, once that first ball is in the air, it's like, I feel like I can just take this big deep breath of like, whatever's going to happen, you know, we might have pace of play, whatever. The next, like, ideally, like 3.5, but to sometimes 5.5 hours are going to be great because of y'all. And I think that that's what to me is, you know, I think at this point, as I've said, like I resonate more with like no laying ups content, but man, the culture around the Random Golf Club, I feel so grateful for because it just allows me where it's like, you know, whether it's a tee time tomorrow or a Saturday or whatever, I just know that I'm going to have 4 hours of like, man, you know what? No matter what I shot, I cannot wait to get back out there. And there's a good chance the next time I play, one of the people is going to be different. The course is going to be different. Something's going to be different, but like there's a stability factor. And that's something I wanted to share because I've never really talked about the accessibility piece, but I'm curious if that resonates with y'all, because like, man, again, the feeling of like being on that tee with people who are like, man, this next 3 hours, it's beautiful, the course is good, but this is not going to be fun. People who like don't play a bunch of golf or play golf 3-4 times a year don't think get that, but it's like, man, I want to play golf, but like who you play with matters.
I just got the privilege to play with Cainen last Friday at one of his home tracks in Woodland that he grew up playing in high school, YOLO Flyers Club. And one thing we were talking with him, during our round, was, about high school golf and, the experiences that we had. And the one thing, I think me and Cainen both came across kind of on equal plane was people as a high school coach now, I don't try to change my kids. I kind of let them be them and show their personalities. And I think both of us in high school kind of had coaches that wanted to take away our personalities and kind of change us. And I know Cainen had a rough go about it in high school, was on and off the golf team with his coach.
I got kicked off 2 of my 4 years, yeah. Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where it's like, well, the reasons you got kicked off, I mean, we could go into some of them, but it's kids being kids. Yeah. And you got to just let kids be kids and allow them to kind of grow and be who they are and show their personalities. And that's the stuffiness that we talk about in golf. And it starts when we all were playing competitive golf as kids. There's a reason. I know I took a good majority of my 20s off from playing golf altogether, was just because I got tired of that shit. I didn't want to deal with the stuffiness, and I didn't have a chill ass fucking group of people like the RGCSF group to go and play with. And so I shut it off because my entire childhood was competitive golf. I played junior golf, and then I went in and played high school golf, and I lost interest because I wasn't allowed to show my personality or who I was. And I think that's the one cool thing that I got out of RGCSF. And then also, with the different channels that have popped up over the last 5 or 6 years with No Laying Up and The Fried Egg, and there's nothing wrong with loving golf and being fucking who you are.
Mm-hmm. I think, one thing too about, kind of, you guys are both touching on it, we may not listen to all the RGC content and we're always up to date with everything. There's a lot of golf content these days, but one thing that it does kind of promote is just that idea of that you're going to have a good time when you go out and play with the RGC crew, right? You're there's the whole thing that you're laughing at the bad shots and all that kind of stuff. And it's a very just inviting, welcoming vibe. And it's not about the stuffiness. It's not about if you're good or not. It's not about what clubs you have, right? It's kind of about just having a good time and meeting people and sharing a common interest. And I think that's, Moon and I, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what we've been kind of embracing the whole time, is just connecting people, having a good time, and not really trying to judge people or just whereas golf is very judgy. I think golf can be very kind of, there's a whole what you wear, what clubs you hit, and all, and it's fun to geek out on some of that stuff, but it's just about golfing and literally what you're signing up for too. You're signing up to have a good time, and that's you're going to be around people who are trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. I didn't play junior golf. I didn't play the game growing up, and I'm pretty new to it. Right. So it's that is intimidating as hell. Right. So a lot of what you were talking about, Ashton, really resonates from a completely different perspective, where it's I'm terrified of booking singles, and Cainen was my legitimacy when I was going out and playing golf, because he knew what the hell he was doing, and I'm going to hack it around. Right. But it's the comfort of the group is knowing that I can book around. People know what they're getting into when they book around with me, but at the same time, I never feel judged. I feel really comfortable the entire time. And it is so much more about the vibe, hanging with guys that I would be hanging out with anyway, but we're all doing something that's a common interest that we all really enjoy. And yeah, like for a lot of like the interests in content as well, like just been really grateful for all the things that like you guys have introduced me to. Like I blasted through things like Chasing Scratch and all of like the tour sauce and Strapped and everything, and those have been like major things that have gotten me through COVID. So throughout it all, yeah, just been really, really good experiences, and happy to have the crew that we have.
Definitely. I think we all, have the same exact thought process when it comes down to this. It's, it's just the friendships and the openness and friendliness towards the game, and not, creating a monster that nobody wants to come in and see or, approach. That's kind of I know for a fact when I pull up to a fancier course or anything like that, I drive a Prius. You kind of look a little weird when you pull up to a really nice course and you're not driving a nice car and you're parking next to a Bentley and all these really nice vehicles. You just feel unwelcome, and I think if I pull up with a crew, no matter what course I pull up to, I feel like we're together. We're it's not like I'm gonna get attacked by the people that are the regulars of that course. And I don't know, that it helps you when you want to go do those things. And that's the one thing, again, why we started this public podcast, and why I and Ashton, I know you guys are, absolutely enthralled with public golf and what it has to offer, because rarely, unless it's a resort course or a semi-private, do you ever feel a stuffed up feeling when approaching those golf courses. Like you guys said, when you pulled up to Bandon for the first time, even though it is a resort course, you are the most welcomed guest. And it could be if you're staying one day or 14 days, they welcome you with open arms. They treat you exactly the same as the next person. It doesn't matter how much money you have in your bank account. It just matters that you have the best experience you possibly can when you approach that golf course and you approach the resort. And that's how it should be everywhere you go. And unfortunately, a lot of places don't treat it that way or act that way. They feel entitled, and they feel like you should feel like you are privileged to be there. And I think that was one thing that Hussey and Ashton and Jack felt when they went out to Rams Hill, was they didn't feel welcomed. They felt like it was a privilege for them to come out and play that golf course. Yeah. And that's not the vibe you need to give off. Like when we showed at Terra-Lago, I fucked up the tee time. We had no tee time for that day. And he was just like, I'll correct that shit. We'll get you out there. We rolled down there. They got Pitbull blasting, ladies making breakfast burritos, serving Bloody Marys. I mean, it was just the killer vibe. And that's not what you get when you show up places, but that's...
Well, I think the other thing to mention too, and look, I might have some listeners like getting my ass about this, and we can have that discussion. But I think there's also something to be said that I love about our crew and about public golf is it's people who actually like golf. Like I think about golf all day. Like I'm at my job talking to candidates, and I normally have on my TV over my shoulder, I've got the 2005 reruns from like the final round of the British Open. I'm always walking and thinking and just consuming golf because I legitimately love golf. When I tell someone I played Foxtail North this morning, there's no prestige in that. There's nothing that someone's going to like. There's nothing to be gained other than the fact that I played a golf course that I enjoyed, right? And I'm not trying to like drive by shoot all private courses, but like, I'll drive by shoot Atlanta Athletic Club. I just keep mentioning with my dad. Like I know that like Atlanta Athletic Club, if you actually have the golf membership, I don't know what it is, but it's like something very expensive to join, right? To be clear, it's become so popular, so much prestige that membership, let's just say it's $80,000 to join. That's for the right to put your name in a raffle for a weekend tee time. you are not guaranteed a weekend tee time after an $80K initiation fee. But you know why? Because in Atlanta, what you say is, if you're out and about, you're a member at the athletic club. You are paying for the athletic club. You are not paying because you love golf. You are not paying because you love the golf course. You're probably not even going to go to the fucking best practice field I've ever seen in my life, right? And that's a big difference. Is like, I will go play anywhere, drive anywhere. And Chris has helped me a lot with that, because I used to be like, it's like 20 minutes. Like, and there's sometimes we've driven places where like I probably shouldn't have driven. Like, oh my God, we woke up at 5 a.m. and I'm exhausted. But I'm doing that because I love golf. And I love you guys because you guys love golf. I don't want to go play courses that it's about like, oh, you went to the athletic club. I don't give a shit. I played the Atlanta Athletic Club over Christmas. I really enjoyed it. Thank you to my dad's friend who brought me out there. I don't love that golf course. That's not a course I want to play every day. It's not. But it's for people who want to play there, who want to join there. They want to be able to go to the bar and say, I'm a member at the athletic club. It's not about the love of the game. And I think that's a really, really, really important distinction, because I know all of you love golf the way I do. You know what I mean?
It's that simple, right? It's like,
yeah. And it's kind of like we even see it for some of the people that we follow on Instagram and stuff, and some of the people in the Bay Area. They just want the clout. So they'll post that they're at the Olympic Club. They'll post that they're at Cal Club. They'll post that they're, at Lake Merced. And it's like, cool, I've played some of those courses. Cool. Like, it doesn't, you're not doing anything for me. I mean, I guess it's in any entity. It's like sneakerheads got to post that they got the new release, that they've got the newest shoe. That clout chasing is what I love, that does not, for the most part, exist in the RGC San Francisco group. We're not clout chasers. We're just out there to fucking enjoy the experience, enjoy the people that are in the group, and create long-term friendships.
Yeah. I think to take it back to a question from earlier, when we're talking about like favorite rounds ever, right? Like on the complete opposite end of the spectrum of the country club experience I talked about was the 36 day that we had at Hagen Oaks that I think all of us played at. That was the gigantic skins game that Chris organized. We were complete freaks. It was on
Arcade Creek is one of the shittiest fucking courses ever, but we had some of the fucking best times out there.
It rained on us.
It was New Year's Day or the day after New Year's Day or something like that.
It was New Year's Day. It was the first of January.
It rained on us. We were there when the sun was rising. We were there when the sun was setting. We're all complete freaks. We have no lives, and we probably need to see therapists. But like one of the greatest days that I can remember, especially with this crew. I think testament to everything that we've just been talking about here.
Yeah, and that, the course is always a plus. None of us will say that we don't enjoy playing Pasatiempo. We don't, we all enjoy going to Monterey and playing the courses out there. But I'll put money on it that I will have a better time at Hagen Oaks or at any local Muni course if I'm playing with U4 or all of the guys in RGCSF. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter the course that I'm playing, because I'm hanging out with my buddies and I'm having a good time. And the course of course is always a plus. We all strive to go out. You guys on Monday are going to play Yocha, which is one of the top courses in the United States. We're going to play Presidio. That's what, I would say the best public course that you're going to find, in one of the best public courses you're going to find in the Bay Area, probably the best in the city. According to the RGCSF group, we all pretty much think that.
Agreed.
And all four of us at different times are playing Pasatiempo the next week. So we're happy to shell out the big bucks. It's just we're shelling out the big bucks because we like the venue, we appreciate the history. Why do people go to? Oh, never mind. I was going to make an analogy. I'm not even going to make it anymore. People pay for things they care about, and I love playing Foxtail on a Saturday. But man, I just can't wait to stare at Alistair McKenzie's bunkering for 5 hours. That's I want that round to take a while. I don't want to be pressed. I want to just soak that up, and I might never play there again. But it's all because we love the game.
We love the game, and I like that you brought up that at Hagen Oaks Day too, because like we love the game and we're down to geek out on dope golf courses, and like, you know, we'll lie to Maya Kama and say that we're like, you know, billionaires and get on for free and whatever. But sorry, Maya Kama, hope you have us back. But you know, when you look back at the days that are the best though too, it's like that Hagen Oaks Day of 36, and we got there and the sun was like an hour from rising, and then we left and they had set for like an hour. We were just like straight up degenerate like golfers. It was pouring on us. Like I remember actually teeing off as a vivid memory when it first started pouring, teeing off on that second nine, which first of all, they have a Mackenzie course there too, an Alistair Mackenzie course, great course. Arcade Creek needs, you know, a little bit of work, but it's kind of like their lesser course. But I have a vivid memory of just like, I think it was me and was it Ashton and Chris and Juan, and that, and we were in a round together, I think in the second.
That was the Mackenzie course that we all four played together. Yeah.
And I think we were going there.
First
and like,
pop up of my life on that first tee.
Yeah. I remember looking at Ashton because Ashton's walking like a fucking badass. We were all riding because we were playing 36, and it was just like I wasn't gonna walk. And Ashton just like looks over and he's like, man, like I would not have it any other way, man. Like it was just like straight up pouring on him, like drenching wet. Everyone's clubs were slipping out of their hands, but it was like kind of the best moment, you know.
And I also think I said, I was like smiling at y'all, and I was like, we have no business playing this round.
Yeah.
Like we should not be playing.
Well,
right now.
and so so we had an hour in between our first 18 and second 18, and so we were all getting food, and the parking lot was slammed. 30 minutes into us all getting lunch, it starts raining, coming down pretty fucking hard.
Yeah.
Nobody was out on that course by the time we all teed off. It was empty. The parking lot was empty. Nobody was out there. And we were just like, fuck it. Most of us drove out from the Bay Area. So it was, you know, hour and a half to 3 hours for some of us. And we went out and played. And to be honest, I think we got 4 or 5 holes in and rain stopped completely. It was a little soggy, but I mean, with the group that we had, and I think we had like almost the entire group chat out there. I think
majority.
It was like 24.
I think it was 24.
Yeah, 24. I mean, there was a substantial amount of guys out there. And the funny thing is, I didn't even hit up Hagen Oaks to like plan that out. I just booked tee times online.
Really?
Yeah, I just went online
forget.
because Hagen Oaks lets you book a month out.
Okay.
This is probably not a great story for the podcast, but I will never forget the cashier, Chris. You checked in. You're like, I'm paying for 3. I don't know. You were in there. You were about to flip a lid.
Yeah.
You were so mad.
He was new, right? He charged me for 6 rounds. And I was like, no, I'm paying for 3 rounds. I'm like, why is it this expensive? And he goes, he just like keeps giving me excuses of why it's that expensive. I'm like, no. And then I called over to the guy, and like the other guys rung up 5 of us at this point, and I'm still dealing with this dipshit. And so I call over to the other guy. I'm like, can you please come over here? I'm purchasing 3 rounds. 3 rounds at 68. You know, I do the whole math in my like just spit it out to him, and he was like, yeah, I mean, you're right. And he just like quickly changes it. And I just look at the guy and I'm like, I mean, did English not come across correctly? Because I don't understand how you kept charging me double. That was the only mess I think we had at Hagen.
And then in the line, because there was all these guys waiting to check in, you have some old guys like, something going on? And it's like, no, this one guy's just been sitting here for 20 minutes and everything is going swimmingly. Like, you know, I think we might miss our tea time. It's like, what time? No, because we have the first 3 groups of the day. You're going to be just fine, sir.
No, we had the first 5 groups of the day.
there you go. You were the starter lady. She's like, oh my God, there's so many of you.
Yeah.
Like, we're your next hour. Like, these dumb fuckers are the first off.
She really appreciated our degenerateness, though. She was like, wow, it's great to see some young gentlemen out here. Like, I'll break it dawn. I was like, we're going to be here all day, lady.
Yeah. Also,
just commented on how organized we were.
Which is funny, ironic for a Big Chris sponsored event.
Ironic that I booked them all online, didn't call them ahead of time or anything. And they actually called me like 2 weeks prior and they were like, so do you know you've got 5 tee times in your name? And then I was, or no, So they saw that I changed it multiple times because I put one of the tee times in Ashton's name. I put one tee time in like Cainen's name. So I changed it because I thought they were going to cancel all my tee times. And so they called me and they said, hey, we noticed that you changed all these tee times to other people's names. And I was like, oh yeah, I just thought you guys were going to cancel 5 tee times that were all in the same person's name at 2 different courses. I thought you were going to cancel 10 foursomes on me. So I made sure you guys thought it was different. And they were just like, no, just next time you might want to call to do that. Instead, I was like, well, your website was really easy to deal with. I didn't have to call.
Well, that's a good reminder, like our pod last week with Mr. Banks. It probably is a good reminder if we're going to bring 20 people, like not that you did anything wrong, but like they might give us, $5 or $10 off the round because I know the COVID bump, but like, man, bringing 20 guys to play 36 holes is, I think they kind of think that's cool, but that's a lesson we're learning. Like,
and
we're learning all this shit.
When I've thrown some of those RGC events too, like I know Karika gave us a discount, Tilden gave us a discount. Like usually if you call them, they're like, they'll give you tee times like $40 or $50. They'll usually knock off like 10.
I think it was that I only thought like 8 people were going to go, and I had like 2 tee times, and then like I threw it out there, and it went from 8 to like 18. And then from like 18 to 20, and I just like so I just kept adding tee times. And then by the time like everybody came, it was just like, oh shit, we've got five tee times on both courses. But yeah, like Munda said, that was probably one of my favorite events that we ever did because it wasn't really planned. It wasn't a sanctioned, meetup or anything like that. It was just, to be honest, a bunch of guys get together playing 36 holes and, having a good time. And
yeah,
it didn't matter the venue that we were playing. We could have been playing Bayonet and Black Horse, or we could have been playing, Mackenzie Course and Arcade Creek at Hagen Oaks. It was just the group that we had. And I think, like we said, the RGC, I think that's what they've given all of us out of anything, has been just the camaraderie of equalness across the board, of us all being sickos and fucking loving golf as much as the next.
Yep, agreed.
That's a good summary there.
So, one last question. What is the toughest thing to come for running the RGCSF chapter? What has been the hardest thing?
I mean, I don't know if this is a tough thing, but it kind of annoys me sometimes. Like, and sorry to anybody else who's listening to it, but people like we'll hit up the chapter quite often, and it's just, I don't like when people are rude about it. And it's, you would think it didn't happen, but it happens all the time. People hit you up and they're like, hey, I'm looking to meet people in San Francisco. And that's just like, or like, it's like, and it's like, there's a lot of people who are like, hey, like, what's up? Like, love the vibe, like, want to be included. There's a kind of like a way to like communicate it that's not so rude.
Yeah, it's not so abrasive.
Yeah, but like, I swear, I had one the other day. It was just like, hey, like, I golf, like, set me up with some people or something like that. I was like, dude, like, what? Like, good for you that
you're golf. Not a liaison of golf tee times.
Yeah, and I just kind of like don't end up really, I might message him back and I'm like, hey, like I kind of have, I don't call it a canned response. And I'm like, I try to be very welcoming with him. Like, hey, I'm Cainen, I'll let him know who I am and stuff like that. But yeah, I'd say like 1 out of every 3 people that reach out are very abrasive, like you're saying about it. And like, just have this like expectation that I'm just going to like connect them with a bunch of people who golf. And, for instance, and we do have our group chat on Instagram, which is capped at 32 people and it's full right now and it's always full. I'm kind of like taking people out, putting people in sometimes if they're not like, responding. I think it's a great way to add people, but if someone asks to introduce them, they just say, hey, Cainen, introduce me to people in San Francisco golf. And I'm not going to add it with the group chat. Like it's not going to be someone who I'm going to add, but that's probably the most difficult thing. That and, when you're organizing these large events, people bail sometimes, which is always kind of difficult. But, one thing I think we've had going for us is we've kind of made a little bit of a following where the last few events we've had, I've actually had like a wait list, which has been kind of cool. So we've had like people, like 5 or 6 people on the list, like ready to rock and roll when people drop out. So they've been kind of filling spots. That's made that a little easier. Just seeing that we've kind of gained a little more, credibility, I guess, with the events that we've thrown. So like, for instance, at that Karika event that we had last, we had like a 6-person wait list and like 3 people dropped out. And, of those 6 people, a couple were down to join. And so it made that a lot easier. But yeah, people dropping out, which is not always, easy, but really I think the main annoyance is just sometimes the rudeness people have over the internet when they expect, to be just introduced to the golf world all of a sudden.
Yeah, I mean, the entitlement is, like we said, that's not the RGC way. Like, that's the one thing I think all of us have gotten out of RGC is there isn't an entitlement factor to what the brand means. And when people approach the RGC chapter, the SF chapter, and approach you guys, it's like, when you come abrasive, it's like you're kind of not the RGC vibes or the mantra. Like, you go back and watch some of the OG, EAL stuff. Go back and read the website and get the meaning of what this is. It's not just a place. You're not Golf Now. You're not just booking tee times for people. Like, that's not what RGCSF is. It's a community, and we all share tee times. We all share like equipment that we're selling, or experiences. If one of us has an in at a course, we'll be like, hey, I got an in at this private course. We'll share that, and it's all of us wanting to share those experiences. It's not you being the middleman.
Yeah, it's like all in RGC, all are welcome unless you're kind of rude about it.
Yeah, and I mean, if anybody, one main thing that you might get out of what Cainen said out of that too, is if you are planning an event with multiple people, have backup plans. Like, toss some guys in a waiting list, or like, if you can't handle it, don't throw an event. Have somebody that knows what they're doing throw an event. I'm just saying, like, you really need to like
understand human behavior.
Yes.
Understand that like life happens to people, circumstances happen, and
Exactly.
like contingencies are actually the plan and a basic part of life.
And I think that's the one thing me and Cainen will say about planning events too, is like, I'm not going to put my own financial interest on the line when also planning these events. I will plan them. I will book them. I will do everything I possibly can to make these events fantastic, but I'm also going to make sure that everybody's going to pay their own way on their own dime in their own, spectrum. Like, I'm not going to pay up front hoping that these people are going to reimburse me. We are all friends. We all are in this group together, but I'm sorry. I'm not even going to put $400 in the line for Ashton. Like, there's points there where I'm going to be like, how about you
also,
call them?
when planning events too, I think, and something you probably learned as well, it's like, it's always really good to set expectations with the golf course.
Yes.
It's like, have a conversation. You say, hey, like, I'm going to have like 12 to 24 guys out here. Like, I'm for sure going to get you a dozen. At my max, I'm going to have probably 6 tee times, but let's just block off 6. I'll call you 4 days before and let you know that we probably have like 16 or 18 or something like that. Usually, and then even from those 16 or 18, some guy will probably drop out. That's the the great of being behind the RGC brand is I can just post it online and someone will be able to join and kind of just fill those spots or have a waiting list. So, but I think setting expectations with the golf course, they're usually pretty cool about it. They're like, yeah, you guys are going to bring 20 guys out, like, or guys or girls, whoever, like, just say, like, yeah, come on out, we'll give you guys a discount.
Yeah, I mean, it being communicative and like you said, having a range. Don't specify like exactly what you're gonna have, or add on later. Like, if you know minimum you're gonna have 12, you can always call them back and add more tee times. You can always add more people. There's no reason to like go, oh, I'm gonna have 24 people, and then you're hunting and searching across all over the place to fill those spots. It's unnecessary. So if anything, if me and Cainen can give any tips on planning, just plan with the people that you know are guaranteed. And if people drop out, don't get worried about it or don't get stressed out about it. Just roll with the punches. It is what it is. I mean, when you have that larger group, there's always going to be mishaps, mistakes, people showing up late or not showing up at all and canceling. So, but.
Yeah, we had that actually when we had I think one of the, I think the event at Tilden or something like that. A couple guys just didn't show up, and they're like, oh, got stuck in traffic and whatever. But because with Tilden, they knew we had a range. It was like fine. Yeah. Oh yeah, you guys have 16 guys out here. You said you're gonna have 18. That's chill. Whatever.
And most of the time when it's a public course, they are pretty chill about it. Yeah, they're just like, it happens. People flat tires. They wake up late. They do whatever. I mean, shit fucking happens. So
they eat peach rings and swallow their tooth. It happens.
Except Rams Hill was not helpful at all. Took my money anyways.
Took Hussey's money. Thank you, Hussey. He has a lot of Rams Hill merch that he now owns because he got a gift card for my tea time. So, oh man. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. I am so stoked that we finally got to do this and kind of, spread the love with the RGCSF crew. And, me and Ashton wouldn't be doing this. We would have never met unless it was for you guys creating that crew and us, being able to be such close friends with both of you. So I can't thank you guys enough.
Thanks for having us on. And, it's obviously just been a pleasure knowing you guys and looking forward to all the golf we get to play in the future.
Yeah. Now that you got one in Portland, one in San Francisco, there's plenty of golf in between for us to be able to experience. So we're going to have some pretty sick ass trips coming up soon.
Looking forward to it, guys. Thanks again for having us.
Absolutely. All right. Take care, fellas.